Everyone else can be seated. Jurors, thank you for your patience. Well, we had a longer than expected lunch break. The lawyers and I have been talking about a few things since I returned, and I'm going to now ask Ms. Wood to, I guess, state the obvious. Are you calling any witnesses?
Yes, Judge.
All right. It looks like you're calling Mr. Mosley.
That's correct.
All right. Deputy Gordon, if you would swear Mr. Mosley in, please.
You swear hard that the testimony will give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth of God.
I do.
Explain that, please.
Xavier Mosley. It's Xavier Mosley.
Good afternoon, Xavier.
Good afternoon.
Can you tell the jury how old you are?
Yes, I am 36 years old.
How far did you go in high school?
In high school, I made it to the 11th grade.
All right. So according to the court documents, he's 38. All right. Here we go.
And where did you grow up?
I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia,
What part of town? Part of Atlanta?
but mainly the west side. But then I moved to the south side around my late teens.
I'm going to direct your attention to 2012. How old were you in 2012?
2012, I was like 24.
What was your life like back then?
It was
Objective relevance.
I'm
Ms.
going
Wood?
to go to the judge.
Okay. So let's stay at the surface level, at least initially, before you dive deep in anything in particular. You also got some documents. Are they things that the state has, or those are in fact the state's documents?
Exhibits.
Got it.
State's Exhibit 1 and State's.
Okay. And you were asking about 2014.
2012 first.
Okay. All good
Can I proceed?
for now.
All right. What happened in 2012?
2012, I was working. I was a hard worker. From age 16 to 24, had mainly kept a job. I worked numerous jobs, but at the end of 2012, I kind of lost my job and things got rocky in my life. Started falling behind on bills, started falling behind on rent, and made some decisions that led me to do prison time.
Was that when you went to prison? What year was that?
That's 2012. November 18th, 2012 to be exact.
When did you get released from prison?
I got released November 17th, 2022.
Were you able to find a job right away?
Not right away. It took months to find a job. Found part-time jobs here and there. Did temp agencies, went to temp agencies, found jobs here and there, but there was nothing permanent. I was able to land a permanent job probably like 15 months after I've been released.
Is that when you started working at the chicken plant at TikTok?
Yes.
Can you tell the jury a little bit about your job at TikTok?
Well, it's a sanitation job. I worked in the sanitation department at Tip Top. That means after they do all the killing of the chickens and everything, I come in afterwards and we sanitize the facility, clean it, drain all the blood,
Monica.
clean all the chicken
The
heads and chicken feet up, everything
allegedly has some
that they discarded, that they don't
mental
sell,
issues.
and kind of prepare the facility for usage for the next day. So they can start over and do the same thing the next day.
And what shift did you work at TikTok?
I work the third shift, 10:30 to 6 a.m., 10:30 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Where were you living at the time that you worked at TikTok?
I was living in Atlanta, Georgia, the same house I stayed in for the past 20 years, since 2005,
How did you get to and from TikTok?
the MARTA.
Can you tell the jury, did you also have to use another form of public transportation to actually get to the plant?
Well, yes, I had to leave the house like 7:20 and to get to work at 10:30 p.m. So I used MARTA, then transferred from MARTA transit unit to the CCT. I think that's what they call it, CCT, Cobb County Transit. So it's like two different transportation units. I transferred to one, then walked like 27 minutes from the bus stop to the chicken plant.
How many days a week did you work?
6.
You work with DeMarco Max.
Yes, I did work with DeMarco Mathis, but we worked at different parts of the factory. We both worked sanitation department, but he was in the department where he drove the forklift around. He had a totally different outfit, uniform than the one I'm accustomed to wearing.
Did you and DeMarco work the same shift?
Yes, we did.
Did you and DeMarco often ride the same bus to get to work?
We occasionally caught the same bus.
You know DeMarco before August the 11th, 2024.
Yes, I did.
You have any issues with DeMarco prior to August 11th, 2024?
No, I did not.
All right, so August 11th, so while we're all here today, can you tell us a little bit about your day that day?
Well, that day, I remember waking up that morning around 10:30. I walked up, I ate breakfast. I walked like a block from my house to my church called Free Gospel. I walked to church, enjoyed the church service, came home. After I came home, I kind of rested up a little bit more, cleaned up the house. Then I eventually got everything prepared to go to work that evening. So
Stop you right there. You said go to work that evening. About what time did you have to leave your house to get to work on time?
I had to leave like 7:30, 7:20, 7:30 around that time.
Sorry, I'm gonna have to go ahead.
Okay. After preparing all my things to go to work, I put a change of clothes in my bag, packed my lunch in my bag, and got ready to get on the bus.
Did you forget something, Mr. Mosley? You took the gun with you.
Walked to the bus stop, which is a block away from my house, and waited on the bus. Caught the bus.
Even though this is Fulton County, and usually I am very pro-defense, I'm very much looking forward to the cross-examination. Yeah. And for you who don't know, I got contacted by a family member of the victim. And now, not much detail, but in my first stream about this trial, I went overboard with the speculation on why this might have happened, and I got corrected. So on the second stream, I apologized to the family, and they accepted. Again, this is something we have to remind ourselves about once in a while, that when we stream trials, sometimes the family of the victims drop by, and we do need, when it's called for, we have to be respectful. Although this mostly is for educational and sometimes entertainment purposes, we cannot forget that there are families involved in this. So again, the Mathis family, my apologies. I hope that you return to the stream and find that the rest of my coverage of this trial is respectful of your family member.
Bus to the house. I caught the bus from the house to East Point train station, and caught the train to Art Center station. From Art Center station, I was waiting on the bus, and then as I got to the station, you guys seen the video where.
I'm gonna stop right there. We'll get into that, okay?
Okay.
Do you remember what time you arrived at the Marta, the Art Center station?
It was like 8:26, 8:27.
And who did you encounter when you were waiting for the next leg of your trip?
Mr. DeMarco Mathis.
What happened then?
Well, he sat next to me at the bus stop, and then we engaged in conversation. I kind of first he asked could he had a short end of my cigarette that I was smoking. I smoke 2 packs of cigarettes a day, so I have cigarettes, and that's one of the reasons we mainly got. That's mainly our interactions, because we really don't talk to each other. But he might need a cigarette some days, and he know I have cigarettes, so I might pass him a cigarette freely without question, just to give him a cigarette, because he's a cool guy. We don't have problems, we don't have issues, and that's just one of the reasons we was able to talk. One of the reasons we was able to connect and relate. So he kind of asked for a cigarette. I indulged, gave him one. Previously, before that, I introduced my business, what I started, to our staff, my staff at the Tip Top Poultry, which is, I started a business called Miracle Made Mentors while incarcerated, trying to help
I don't want to interrupt you, but can you say that one more time? Miracle Made.
mentors.
What is Miracle Made Mentors?
It's like a nonprofit organization that helps educate and unite and uplift my people for the struggle we're going through. I created a program to try to help inspire Black people, young Black men, to start their own business instead of being workers and laborers their whole life. So I try to influence people the best I can and try to encourage them to do better.
And so you were telling DeMarco about this program?
Yes, I was. And that's one of the reasons I had my asbestos shirt on, because that day it's like that whole week I was fully focused on my business. I did extra, I cashed in on my vacation hours just so I can invest some money that week, just invest in more money just so I can create more benefits for myself and live a better lifestyle, because I didn't want to be a worker my whole life. I didn't want to work every day of my life like I was doing just coming out of prison. I don't like this being under somebody authority and they tell.
This business that he claims to be an investor of, it's a pyramid scheme.
Telling me what to do left and right, day and night. So I want to start my own business. And that's where my investor business come from. But back to me and DeMarco talking. I was introducing my business to him, just talking about my business to him, telling him how I planned on coming to the job with a nice lump sum of money after I saved up, just to help recruit for my business. I was gonna show them that my business was profitable, and I got proof that I'm making money doing my business. So it'll be a better influence for them to join in and try to see what I got going on. So
It's a
it'll make them interested, and I can build my business brand up.
I just want to make sure I understand correctly. Is it fair to say you were telling Mr. Mathis about Miracle Made Mentors and your investment plans, and that you wanted to show other people at TikTok about it? Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Sorry for that thing. So what happened next? What did DeMarco say to you?
Well, he kind of started leaning towards the wrongs. Like, what if this happened? What if that happened? He asked me, what if, he said, he informed me that I'm not like that job. So he's like, man, you know they don't like you. What if they try to rob you? I got a like a no nonsense kind of demeanor, and I don't take kindly to threats. So I told him I'm not worried about that, because I know how to handle myself in situations if that occurred. I just did 10 years in prison without getting robbed many times. So I'm not easily intimidated, kind of, if that's safe to say. So I was telling him about that, and we went on to talk about other things, like what if some of the guys didn't like me, that don't like me, try to assault me and take my money. He asked, did I have the $10,000 saved up in my
Stop
bank?
for a second. I'm sorry, hold on one second.
Object to hearsay.
To what Mr. Mathis is saying?
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Wood?
Judge, I'm trying to get his reaction to what was said in that moment.
Okay.
That's what we're headed towards.
Got it. So, Mr. Mosley, focus more on what you said than what Mr. Mathis said, but there may come a point where Ms. Wood asks you to say specifically, what did Mr. Mathis say? Then that'll give the state an opportunity to object if they think it's objectionable. But for now, I need you to stick to talking about what you said.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Well, you got any questions?
Oh, sorry. At this point in the conversation, this is, you guys have been, how long have you been sitting on the bench at the train station at this point?
Probably about 15 minutes.
Did he show you anything?
Yes, he kind of, in the middle of him asking questions, he kind of flashed the object in his book bag. After he addressed that, I might get robbed at the job if I bring that amount of money to the job. He kind of flashed the object like, man, you need one of these to keep yourself safe.
Mr. Mathis has a clean record. He's never been involved in any criminality. So Mr. Mathis packing heat, well, he has, well, I assume this will be addressed in cross-examinations, but Mr. Mathis really has no record whatsoever.
I didn't see the object as good, so I asked, what was that? He, out of his mouth, verbally said, it's a gun.
Your Honor. Hearsay.
I'm gonna have a different question, Judge, we'll do this out of this.
Okay.
What did you think you saw?
I really didn't know what I saw because it was unrecognizable at the time.
What happened next?
So his defense is that this other person who he is trying to recruit into a pyramid scheme all of a sudden shows a gun. So that is his defense. Not at all that he is a criminal with violent crimes on his record already, including weapons. He tried to recruit somebody to a pyramid scheme who I would assume laughed in his face and he got mad.
Well, the conversation kind of faded out. We kind of took a brief break in the conversation, and we kind of moved off topic and started talking about. After that, we started talking about things that might occur and could occur. I'm trying not to say everything he said because they said don't say what he said, but.
How are you feeling at this moment after this discussion that you were a part of?
I'm really cautious and on edge
Why is that?
because it's a known fact around the people that I hang around at the job that it's a bounty on my life already for like $50,000.
There's a 50,000 bounty on your life? You're an ex-con doing a pyramid scheme. No, Mr. Mosley. No. Oh, this is so stupid. Oh God, this is so stupid.
And they say it as a joke, but I don't think it's a joke at all.
Now I understand why his defense attorney never asked any questions to his co-workers who testified, or boss who testified, or CEO who testified. because I mean, this is laughable. So she waited until he took the stand so he could say, oh, there's a 50,000 bounty on my life. They say it as a joke, but he doesn't think it's a joke at all. Kid, you're not even worth $5.
So what happened?
Should I say what? Because the conversation it started again by him asking me questions. So should I say what he said again?
So questions aren't hearsay. You can talk about questions he asked you. If he is making statements, that's what we need to stay away from. But if he said, hey, how's your leg feel? What's the weather like? You can tell the jury questions he asked you.
Okay. Well, after he showed me the object and we moved on in the conversation, he asked me, have I been shot before? This after he showed me the object. So I was telling him, yeah, I've been shot 5 times before. So I'm really cautious about being around people with guns. So, but it's not that I get scared around them, but I be aware. I be more aware than I am because I know now that I gotta watch this person more or closer. Does that make sense?
What did you think that object was?
Objection calls for speculation. He said he didn't know what it was.
Next question.
What happened next, Xavier?
After I told him I've been shot, he didn't ask me what would I do if he shoot me. I'm like, man, how my body feel? I probably die right now if I get shot again. So I'm cautious and I'm on edge now because now he's making insinuating remarks like he'll cause harm to me. And
How'd that make you feel?
Jesus
made me
Christ,
feel
stupid.
uneasy.
For fuck's sake.
Well, what happened?
Conversation went on.
Pink Slime says, it's a joke, no one will pay that. If their prosecution of the crime or an indication, the going rate for a hitman is usually around 5 to 10K. Yeah, and that is for a valuable target. And I don't think, I mean, okay, in Atlanta, if you want somebody shot, you pay $100 to a crackhead. And so, no, Mr. Mosley, you're not worth 50 grand. You're not worth 5 to 10 grand. You run a pyramid scheme. You probably got laughed in the face, and you got mad. Oh, and by the way, the money he talked about, he was going to bring cash because, look how successful I am. When they went through his house, or the house he lived in, there was no money there. He's a bum. Making it harder for other ex-cons to get a job. Probably.
I think we kind of took a break in the conversation and Mr. Mathis started kind of talking to himself under his breath, but making like remarks like they might be directed towards me. But he wasn't saying them, he was saying them loud enough for me to hear, but he wasn't directing at me like he wanted me to take offense to it type.
And how were you feeling at that moment?
Uncertain. I really didn't know what to think because the remarks he was making, they kind of didn't make sense, but they kind of
Are you having trouble making shit up now, Mr. Mosley? Are you having problems making shit up?
Kind of was believable. He was saying things like,
Objection, Your Honor. Also hearsay.
So let's not go into what he said, again, unless the question is teed up specifically. So let's move on, Ms. Wood.
Judge. Xavier, I'm gonna fast forward. Did you want to shoot DeMarco Mathis?
no,
Why did you shoot him?
I shot Mr. Mathis because he was threatening to shoot me, and he was threatening to collect a bounty on my life and take my life away from me.
Oh, family of Mr. Mathis. I'm sorry for laughing, but this is just so ridiculous. His claims here are so insanely ridiculous, and I'm sorry that you had to endure this. Now, this is the right of a defendant to take the stand in his own defense, and it seems like he had the ending of a story. Oh, it wasn't my gun. I shot him because he threatened me. The rest, he had to make up on the spot on the stand. Oh. I bet McBurney's chat lost it. I would assume they did. Oh, we can actually check. Top chat replay? No? Oh.
I felt nervous, and I was in fear for my life.
Did you mean to kill him?
Of course not. No.
Why did you run?
Because after I shot him, I was scared. I'm a black man with a gun who's not supposed to have a gun. I just shot a guy, and I didn't want to go back to prison.
Why are you hiding in the attic?
Well, I had been in the attic for 2 days because, for one, I was thinking more guys was going to come and try to take my life from me after they hear what happened. And I was contemplating suicide.
Did you fight with the cops when they came to your house?
No, I did not.
Were you cooperative with the cops?
Yes, I was.
You hid in the attic where they more or less had to drag you down from.
Last question, Xavier.
Did you?
Why do you carry a gun even though you're not
Right
supposed to have
over
one?
Right over here.
Because when I got out of prison, when I was released from prison, on multiple different occasions, I was approached by guys with guns, and they kind of really put guns to my head, threatening my life, threatening to accept the bounty for my life, like a $50,000 hit on my life, and
No, they didn't.
they wanted it. Some were scared to take it.
If anybody put a, if you scammed the people you robbed with, I can understand why they are, but no, just no. This is so stupid.
But some wanted my life. They wanted me dead.
Very good for protection.
Right.
No further questions, sir.
What? All right.
Mr. Buddy?
Oh, and cross-examination. Oh, make this. Oh, I'm looking forward to this. Come on.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mosley.
Good afternoon.
During any questions that I ask you, if you don't understand, just let me know, okay? If there's a question that I'm not making sense or you can't make sense of what I'm asking, tell me, okay?
All right, I will.
All right. Now, let's start with something I think we can agree. We can agree. You agree as well, this is your vote, right?
It is.
Okay. And you agree, state that 149, this is the gun you used to shoot DeMarco Mathis.
Yes, it is.
So it's the gun that you were carrying all day, throughout the day on August 11th, 2024, correct?
Yes.
And you would agree and stick Exhibit 140, these are the shoes that you had on August 11th when you shot DeMarco, correct?
Yes.
And we can agree that state Exhibit 200, this is the shirt that you were seen wearing on August 11th of 2024, correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And you can agree that it was the Falcons cap that you had on in all the videos, that video where you shot Marco Mathis, correct?
Yes, it is.
And then we can agree that when it states Exhibit 150, this is the plaid shirt that you were seeing either August 5th or August 9th at the East Point Mark Station when you used the police card that was collected when you were arrested on August 14th, correct?
That's correct.
All right, so we can agree that, and I want to show you States Exhibits 44 through 56. You'll just flip through those still shots. Okay, would you agree that in States Exhibits 44 through States Exhibit 56, those still shots are all pictures of you, correct?
That's correct.
And some of those still shots are from the day that you shot and killed DeMarco Mathis, correct?
That's correct.
And other of those still shots are pictures of you at the East Point Market Station. They're on August 5th, August 9th, or August 10th, correct?
Yes.
And lastly, some of those still shots are pictures of you either on a bus or a market train, also on August 11th, the day that you killed DeMarco Mathis, correct?
Yes.
All right. And can we agree that the firearm State Exhibit 149, that is the same firearm that you took up into the attic when you were hiding from the police, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And how long did you have that firearm?
I'd say probably 8 months.
Okay. And where'd you?
So, you didn't take a gun from Mr. Mathis. There was no gun at the scene belonging to Mr. Mathis. Did Mr. Mathis perform a magic trick while you were shooting him? You asshole?
Get it.
Off the street.
Okay. And we can agree that by law, it's illegal for you to possess, own, carry, be an armed breach of the firearm, correct?
Yes.
And despite that, you still chose to carry a firearm, sounds like on your person at all times, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And it's illegal for you to carry a firearm because you're a convicted felon, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you were convicted of committing an armed robbery and an aggravated battery and possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony from October of 2012, correct?
Yes.
And you were also, and that's in case number 12 SC 115756 out of the Fulton County Superior Court. So where we are here today, correct?
Yes. I'm not sure about the numbers, but yes.
Okay. Well, I'll have you look at, you would agree in the States Exhibit 1, the copy of the certified conviction for your armed robbery from October of 2012, correct?
Right.
And can we also agree that you have a second felony conviction in case number 13 SC 118174 out of Fulton County for on November 18th of 2012, attempting to commit, we're charged with committing 2 armed robberies and, 3 criminal attempts to commit armed robberies and carrying a firearm during the commission of those felonies, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you were convicted of both of those counts, and for both of these convictions, you agree that State Exhibit 2 is a certified conviction of your second felony convictions involving criminal attempt to commit armed robbery.
Yes.
Okay. And you said on direct, you went to prison for those offenses for, you said 10 years?
That's correct.
Okay. And you said, I believe you were released at November 17th of 2022, correct?
That's correct.
And when you were released in November of 2022, you knew that it was illegal for you to ever carry a firearm again, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you said on direct, I think, talking about working under people, you didn't like authority. Do you remember saying that?
I do.
And the authorities had told you you were not allowed to carry a firearm, but you chose to do so anyways, correct?
Yes.
Knowing that you were breaking the law every time that you were in arm's reach of a firearm.
Yes. The authority is not there to protect me, sir.
Okay. But you would agree that the law is the law, correct?
Yes.
And a law is something you have to follow, correct?
Yes.
The law is something I have to follow, correct?
Yes.
The law is something that these jurors have to follow, correct?
Yes.
And if you don't, there's consequences for violating the law. Can we agree on that?
Yep.
And so you said you got that gun approximately 8 months from the day you killed DeMarco Mathis?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you heard the testimony, or do you know, you saw Officer Williams testify, correct?
Correct.
And he was your felony community supervisor, correct?
For the record, 8 months. Let's see. The murder was August of last year, so we got it around Christmas of 2023. Well, that's what it says. So, at the very best, he was out of prison for 14 months before he got a gun again. I would assume he walked out of the prison gates, met with the probation officer, and then went out to get himself a gun.
Correct?
Yes.
And he told you you weren't allowed to have a gun, correct?
He did.
And you were to check in with him and, you know, make sure that you were doing the parts related to whatever program you had been asked to complete as a part of your release from prison, correct?
Yes.
And carrying a firearm is a violation of all of the rules and tenets of your felony supervision, correct?
Yes.
And yet you still carried one.
First law is self-preservation.
Excuse me?
First law is self-preservation. I got to save myself before I consider any other thing.
Okay. But wouldn't you agree that part of saving yourself is staying out of prison?
I would agree with that. Saving myself is part of staying alive.
Okay. And would you agree that part of saving yourself is staying out of situations where you have to save your life?
How can you do that?
I get to ask the question, just got to answer them.
Let's ask a different question.
Now, you talked about, I think on direct, your business that you either were starting or getting started in the investment business, correct?
Yes.
And you said it sounded like the tenets of that business was a form of mentorship for younger men.
Yes.
And you would agree that a mentor is somebody who somebody can look up to, correct?
That's right.
Who they can go to get the
It was a
right answers.
pyramid scheme.
That's right.
Who they can go to set a good example, correct?
Yes.
And you would agree that after getting out of prison and breaking the law by carrying a firearm is not setting a good example, correct?
Yes.
Now, we heard and we saw during last couple of days that not only did you carry the firearm, but you had an extended magazine or magazines that went with your firearm, correct?
That's right.
And an extended magazine is something that allows you to carry more bullets or ammunition when or inside or with your firearm, correct?
That's right.
This is not as fiery of a cross-examination as I had hoped for, but it is adequate.
All right. Now, let's talk about August 11th, 2024. You said, it sounded as if I'm direct, that it was what I would characterize as a normal day, right?
Yes.
Breakfast, you went to church, you rested, you cleaned the house, right?
Yes.
And then you got ready as you did every Sunday through Friday from 10:30 p.m. to 6 a.m. to go to work, correct?
Well, I got ready from 7:30.
Okay, so that was a bad question. So you got ready to go to work and you left at approximately 7:30, correct?
Yes.
Like you did every Sunday through Friday when you were going to work your shift at Tip Top Poultry from 10:30 p.m. to 6 a.m., correct?
That's correct.
And you took the normal route that you would typically take from your house to get to the Art Center station, correct?
That's right.
And that's the route that we saw you take through the video surveillance from the bus that you picked up either on McWilliams or Hartford Street, correct?
Right.
And then you rode that bus to the East Point MARTA station, correct?
That's correct.
And then from the East Point MARTA station, you got on a northbound train 223, to head to the Art Center station, correct?
Yes.
And once you arrived at the Art Center station, you went and waited in the bus loop, correct?
That's right.
And in all of that time, the public bus, public train, and all of the public stations, you were illegally carrying that firearm, right?
Yes.
And you sat down on that bench with DeMarco Mathis, correct?
He sat down with me. I was
Okay.
there first.
Y'all were seated at the bench together, whether you got there first or he got there first, for approximately 30 minutes, right?
Yes.
And he didn't know you were armed, correct?
No.
Okay. And where did you carry your gun?
My pocket.
Okay, in your pants pocket?
Yes.
Okay. And you told this jury today that y'all got along, correct?
Yes.
And you've never had a problem with him, right?
That's right.
And I think you said he's a cool guy, no issues. You're able to hang out, connect, and relate, I guess, because you both like to smoke cigarettes?
Yes.
Okay. And that day was when you saw Mr. Mathis at in the bus loop of the Art Center transit station, was no different than any other day that you'd see him, both of you going to work, right?
Yes, it was different. That was the first time we ever sat beside each other and talked for a long period of time.
Okay, so it's your testimony that on this day, August 11th, the day that you shot Mr. Mathis, was the first time you guys had sat together.
Yes.
Okay, and you would agree, and as you told us earlier, when he sat down, it was no big deal. You had no issues, correct?
Right.
And you continue to have no issues, right? As you continue to talk in the beginning, right?
It turned into an issue
Okay. How did it turn into an issue?
because he started getting aggressive and threatening.
He started getting aggressive.
Yes.
How did he start getting aggressive?
He started pointing a device at me that he said was a gun.
Hold on here. You said he opened his book bag. There was no what? Problem keeping your story together, Mr. Mosley? Well, that, Mr. Mosley, is what happens when you lie, when you make shit up. Then you have trouble remembering what you said, even if it's just minutes earlier. You have problems remembering what you lied about. And you, Mr. Mosley, you are not a smart person. Not by a long shot. Excuse the pun. You're just a liar. Mr. Mathis probably just laughed at you and said he wasn't interested in your scheme and your pyramid scheme and laughed at you. And you got angry. And you shot him. Maybe. Sadly, there's no sound to the surveillance video, but we know that you sat down, talked for a bit, and then you decided to kill him.
But now he said it was a gun.
He told me he had a gun. Yes.
Okay. So it's your testimony here today that Mr. Mathis, while y'all were seated at the bench, told you he was carrying a firearm.
That's correct.
And I believe your testimony on direct was he opened his bag and flashed something at you, right?
Yes.
But you didn't see what it was.
No.
And Ms. Woods asked you a series of questions about how you were feeling. You remember that?
Yes.
Said you were uneasy, right?
Right.
Feeling uncomfortable, right?
Yes.
But you kept talking to Mr. Mathis, right?
Yes.
And you would agree prior to that day you had never had any sort of issue with Mr. Mathis.
Right.
And you had been working the same shift, the same company since March 3rd of that year, correct?
That's correct.
So March, April, May, June, July, August, so roughly 6 months, you had no issue with Mr. Mathis, right?
Right.
And just on this day, out of nowhere, it's your testimony that Mr. Mathis sat down and flashed something that you couldn't see, but told you it was a gun, right? That's your testimony.
That's correct.
Okay. And you told us, Wood, again, that you felt uneasy, didn't feel good, right? Yes or yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. And you would agree that you weren't chained to the bench, right?
Right.
You weren't tied to it.
That's correct.
Nobody was holding you down, right?
Right.
No one was forcing you to sit there.
Right.
You remained seated there, though, right?
I did.
Despite what you're telling us here today for the first time about you feeling uneasy and Mr. Mathis saying you allegedly had a gun, right?
Yes.
Okay. A gun you never saw, right?
Right.
Okay. And at any point during that conversation, you could have got up and walked away, right?
Go where?
My question is, at any point during that conversation, you could have got up and walked away, yes or no?
Yes.
But you didn't.
Right.
Even though you were feeling uneasy, right?
Yes.
And you were feeling threatened, right?
Right.
But you stayed there.
That's correct.
Tell me how that makes sense.
Kind of like right now, I'm in the same situation.
What?
You're saying right now you're in the same situation that you were on August 11th of 2024.
Kind of. The feelings kind of mutual.
Okay.
I don't want to be here. I'm getting questioned and interrogated by you, and I haven't had any prior relationship with you that seemed threatening or made me feel uneasy.
So is it your testimony that at this moment you believe I threatened you?
I believe you on the side that's trying to take my life away from me.
My question was, at any point during this time you and I have been having this conversation, have I threatened you in any way?
No,
Have I shown you a gun or pointed a gun at you?
of course not.
That's the only gun that I've shown you, the one you used to kill DeMarco Mathis on August 11th of 2024.
Yes.
But yet you feel threatened by me here today,
Yes.
just for me asking you questions about what you did on August 11th of 2024.
It was not about the questions you asked him, about what you are trying to do.
Okay. Hold you accountable?
Yes. Yes.
And you believe that every person has to be held accountable for the actions that they take, correct?
Yes. And I take full responsibility for my actions.
You take full responsibility for shooting an unarmed man, correct?
He wasn't unarmed at the time I shot him. He made me believe that he was armed.
You would agree that the evidence has been that Mr. Mathis didn't have a gun, correct?
I know that now, but at the time, he made me believe he had one.
Okay.
You lying son of a bitch.
You would agree that you have to be held accountable for shooting Mr. Mathis as he sat there on the bench, correct?
Yes.
And at the time that you shot Mr. Mathis, he wasn't attacking you, right?
Yes, he was.
The time that you shot Mr. Mathis,
We saw the surveillance video. He sat there. You got up. You shot him. There was nothing on any surveillance video that he approached you, that he leaned over. He just sat there while you shot him.
did he lay any hand on you?
I didn't lay a hand on him.
He laid multiple bullets in his body, correct?
That's because he was aiming an object at me, making me think that he would put multiple bullets in my body.
My question to you was, at that point, Mr. Mathis physically touched you.
He did not.
And you would agree that it's convenient that you sit here today and say that Mr. Mathis threatened you, knowing that there's no sounds to the video, correct?
I know that now.
You know that now, right?
Yes.
You didn't know that then, right?
No.
Okay.
I thought everything at the train station was being recorded.
You thought everything at the train station was being recorded?
Yes.
Okay. But yet, so you thought everything at the train station was being recorded. Why didn't you call for help?
Because the threat was immediately right then and there.
And you fled the scene, right?
Yes,
But yet you knew everything was being recorded?
yes.
So why'd you flee the scene if you knew every action that you were doing was being recorded? Help me make sense of that.
My intentions was not to kill Mr. Mathis, and it was only to defuse the situation and disarm him. I wasn't aware that he wasn't going to be able to get up and follow me and pursue me.
And it's your testimony that when you shot Mr. Mathis, you believed he was.
He shot him more or less point blank in the chest. And then another bullet as Mr. Mathis was more or less falling over that hit him in his elbow. You shot him, and I believe he fired 3 rounds, 1 in the chest, which made him fall back. Fired again and again, and then he fled.
Going to harm you in some kind of way, right?
Yes,
And you felt that way even after you shot him, right? Is that what your testimony is?
yes,
But yet, after you shot him, you didn't immediately run, did you?
yes.
So after you shot him, you took the time to go back and get your bag from the bench, did you?
My bag was nowhere except a step away.
Step away, but step closer back to Mr. Mathis, correct?
No, a step away from him. He was further away.
But you were so afraid that Mr. Mathis was gonna hurt you, you still took the time to grab your book bag?
Mr. Mathis was on the ground by the time I grabbed my book bag.
My question is even though you just said that you were afraid after you shot Mr. Mathis, he was still gonna harm you in some way, yet you still went back and got your book bag, correct?
I did.
But you had not seen a gun at any point, correct?
Thought I seen a gun. I thought the object he was waving at me was a gun.
So now it's your testimony that during the time you and Mr. Mathis sat on that bench, he waved a gun at you?
Mr. Mathis pulled out the object from his bag and began to conceal it with a phone. He covered it up and made me think that he had a gun.
Show me your bag. How do you do it?
How you do it?
How do you do it? Tell me how he showed you the gun, how he pulled it out. Show me.
I wasn't watching when he pulled it out. By the time I turned my attention back to him, he had his cell phone in his right hand and he had an object in his left hand and he was covering it up like this, aiming it like this at me, pointing, saying what he would do. He would shoot me and kill me.
Now
It made me in fear for my life.
So now it's your testimony that Mr. Mathis pulled the gun from his bag, obscured it, blocked it with his phone, and pointed it at you, and then threatened you with it?
That's correct.
Okay. And at what point during this 31-minute conversation did that happen on video?
Like seconds before he got shot.
Seconds before you got shot.
Yes.
Okay.
There's
And
nothing,
so if this was seconds
nothing
before,
on that
shot
surveillance
him.
video showing
it's your
Mr.
testimony that the gun
Mathis
was in his
doing
hand with
anything.
a phone over it, correct?
Correct.
Got a certificate stand up. Could you show the jurors where Mr. Mathis had this gun on his side with the phone obscuring it or covering it?
Hold on one sec. Are you okay if he just does it while he's seated?
Sure.
Okay, so you're there, you can keep your hands up. Why don't you stay seated? And I don't know if you want to give, I don't have a phone he can borrow as a demonstrative aid.
He had the phone in his right hand. He had an object in his left hand.
Let's let my phone be an actual phone. Let's let Mr. Rao's phone be this alleged gun, okay?
Okay.
Now show the jurors how Mr. Mathis had his gun and his phone obscuring.
He had it like this, covered up. He was aiming it like this at me.
All right, so hold it up high. I know he was holding it low here there, but that way the jurors can see it. So hold it up a little higher so they can see what you're doing.
See what I'm doing? He had the phone like this. He had the object in his hand, waving it at me, saying, "I shoot you, I kill you." I don't know what object it is up under the phone. I was in fear for my life.
And well, I don't mean to harp on this, but you said you don't know what that object was. You just said, right?
That's correct.
But you just said that it's a gun being obscured by a phone. How do you know it's a gun?
Could I
So
put
he made me
object?
believe. it was
Stop
a
for
gun.
1 second. When you hear an objection, you got to stop so we can work through it. Yes, ma'am.
Seems like this is asked and answered at this point.
Okay. If you want to ask one last time, you can, but then we'll move on.
How did you know it was a gun if you now have demonstrated for the jurors that it's out of his bag and it's pointed at you, or you see it pointed at you? How did you not see the gun?
I said, he told me it was a gun. He made me believe it was a gun. He concealed it and pointed at me, made me believe that he had a gun.
You would agree, Mr. Mosley, that you and Mr. Mathis are sitting like right next to each other, correct?
Right.
And to the point where you're almost touching, right?
So we're not that close.
Okay. How close would you say that you and Mr. Mathis are?
We're like 5 feet away from each other.
All right, so are you from where you're seated to where I'm standing right here next to this air filter, or is it closer?
Yes, kind of like this.
Right. And you said that this act of him pulling this gun that you didn't see and obscured by phone, this all happened seconds before you got up and stood over him and shot him, right?
Yes,
So you would agree that it happened seconds after he allegedly brandished, pointed, showed a firearm and threatened you, that when you shot him, the gun was still in his hand, correct?
correct. Well, it fell out.
Or it fell out
Yes,
and fell out where?
probably if it landed on the bench. It probably landed on the ground in front of the bench.
Well, you went back towards the bench to get your book back, correct?
I leaned over and reached and grabbed my bag.
Right. When you leaned over and grabbed your bag, that's all good, right?
Nope.
And after you shot Mr. Mathis and he rolled from the bench to the floor, never saw a gun around him or in his hands, correct?
Never looked back.
This is so ridiculous.
And after you shot Mr. Mathis, you fled from the Oxford station, correct?
That's correct.
And you told us today you went home, right?
Yes, I made my way to my house.
You what?
I made my way to my house.
Okay. And August 11th was a Sunday, right?
Yes,
And earlier that day on Sunday, your girlfriend, Erica, broke up with you, right?
no, that's incorrect.
Okay.
I broke up Monday.
Right. Well, you heard her testimony when she came in yesterday, right?
Yes,
And you heard her tell the jurors that she broke up with you because you were accusing her of infidelity the Sunday before you were arrested, correct?
yes, I heard that. I wanted to object, but I couldn't.
Okay. Well, you would agree the Sunday before you were arrested was the day you shot and killed Mr. Mathis on the 11th, correct?
Yes,
And you don't dispute the fact that you had been accusing her of infidelity, correct?
No.
No, you don't dispute that?
No.
And you would agree that not only had you been accusing her of stepping out on you, but you had been accusing her of doing that with allegedly people you worked with, right?
yes,
And you worked with Mr. Mathis, right?
that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah. This jackass, this stain on society, got mad at his girlfriend. And then he got to the bus stop and decided to kill a person. What was actually said on that? Did he really try to sell his pyramid scheme and got laughed at? I don't know. Did he accuse Mr. Mathis of being one of the men that bonked his girlfriend? We don't know. To make a long argument short, this guy belongs in prison. And should never be able to leave prison.
And a few days later, on the 14th, in the morning hours, you heard the police knocking on your door, correct?
Well, I heard the bullhorn.
Okay. And you heard the bullhorn where the police were announcing this is the Atlanta Police Department, correct?
Yes,
You heard that they were looking for you, correct?
yes,
And Ms. Wood asked you about whether you cooperated with the police. Remember that?
yes,
And you would agree that before they even entered your house on the bullhorn, and then they knocked on the door several times, asking you to come out of your home, correct?
yes,
But you didn't, right?
No.
Stayed in your attic, hiding with your gun, correct?
yes,
And you stayed in the attic for about an hour and a half before coming down, correct?
I don't know what time it was after they got there, but I was in the attic about 2 days.
Okay. All right, so you would agree then if you had been in the attic for 2 days, you, well, there's no bathroom in the attic, is there?
Yeah,
You would agree in the photograph, there's no pictures of you, I guess, having to use the restroom up there since you've been there for 2 days, right?
Objection.
Hold on one second. Yes, ma'am.
Relevance?
Goes to credibility.
Okay. Streamline it, but you keep going.
Yeah, I won't ask a question and a half, but
Okay.
so you would agree if you've been up there for 2 days, you would have had to use the restroom up there, right?
it's my house. I got free reign over my house.
So you came down from the attic, is what you're saying?
Yes.
You had been in the attic, like you led us to believe, for 2 continuous days.
Well, not the whole 48 hours. I
But you
came
would
down to
agree,
get me some food. I came down to use the restroom. I went back up.
you would agree on direct, you didn't say any of that, right?
Right.
That you've been in the attic for 2 days.
Yes,
And when I asked you, you said you've been in the attic for 2 days.
that's correct.
All right, so, at some point, you were in the attic when the police arrived, and you finally came down, right?
Yes,
And before you came down, you left, your gun in a closed, bin, right?
yes,
And when you came down, you didn't tell the police, hey, there's a gun upstairs in the bin, right?
no, I did not.
You didn't think they'd find it, right?
I knew they'd find it.
Okay.
Bin wasn't closed.
Okay, so you heard the testimony of Detective Starow, correct?
Yes, I did.
You heard him testify that when he went up to that attic, he had to open that bin in order to find the gun. You heard that, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so like Miss Erica, he's not telling the truth either, right?
That's correct.
All
I
right.
wanted to object to that too, but I couldn't.
But you don't get to object. That's not your role in the process.
That's why I didn't do it.
Good. Good work.
And after you were arrested, you were taken to Market Precinct, right?
Yes,
And at that point, Detective Steigel and one of his fellow detectives, now Sergeant Garvin, came in and had a conversation, right?
yes,
And do you recall, before they had that conversation, they asked you how old you were, right?
yes,
They asked you about your education level.
yes,
You remember telling them that you had taken some college level classes, right?
yes,
And they asked you, did you understand the process and what they were talking to you about, right?
I did.
You indicated you understood, right?
Yes,
They asked you if you were under the influence of any alcohol, drugs, or anything that would affect your ability to understand what they were talking about, right?
Right.
So you weren't, and that you understood, right?
yes,
He read you your rights, right?
Yeah.
And you agreed to have a conversation with him, correct?
yes,
Do you remember, he asked you first what happened, and your response was, what are you talking about? Remember that?
that's not the first thing you asked me.
What's the first thing he asked you?
I don't recall right now, but I know he asked me that after he started asking about my girlfriend. That's when I told him, that's when I said what I said, because he went off from the incident to my personal life.
Mhm.
He tried to go back to it, and I'm like, you trying to confuse me and mix things up.
Okay, you would agree that it's recorded, right?
Yes,
On that recording, one of the first things Detective Steidel says to you is that we're here today about the Art Center. And your response is, what happened? Or what are you talking about? Excuse me. He asked you what happened and you said, what are you talking about? You don't remember that?
I have to hear the recording again.
Okay. And do you remember telling the detective after he asked you again, about what happened? You said lots of stuff happened. You remember that?
Yes,
And he asked you, made a statement, tell me what happened when you were talking to DeMarco. You remember hearing something like that during the recording?
yes,
And you responded with lots of stuff was going on, outside forces, and you say something about there's a lot of energy in people, right?
yes,
And the detective specifically asked you with DeMarco. Do you remember that? You do?
yes.
And do you remember what your response was?
I don't recall.
Would it surprise you that on that recording you said, no, not with DeMarco?
Maybe
That would surprise you?
it would.
It would?
Yes,
Okay. And would it surprise you? He then asked you a series of questions about how you knew DeMarco. Do you remember that?
yes,
You remember telling him you know him from the job, from working at Tip Top. You remember that?
yes, I did.
And you remember talking to him about the fact that there were times that you guys worked the same shift at the factory, right?
They always work the same shit.
Okay. And that you would run into each other from time to time, right?
Yes,
And do you remember the detective specifically asking you what you would define? First, he says your friendship, and then he says your relationship with DeMarco. Do you remember that?
yes,
Do you remember what you said in response to that question?
I think I said it's like a cordial relationship.
Okay. You said it was a cordial relationship, right?
I believe so.
And he asked you, he said, so it was cordial, it was cool, and you never had an issue with him or anything like that, right? And you said, what?
Yes.
Right. You said yes, that you had never had an issue with him,
Right. No,
that you'd never had a problem with him.
that's correct.
And on this day, when you had the opportunity to talk to the detective who's asking you what happened, you told him nothing happened, right?
Yes.
You didn't tell him that what you told us today, that there was any type of beef, right?
There was no type of beef.
Okay. You didn't tell the detective what you told us a few minutes ago, that Mr. Mathis threatened you, right? You didn't tell him that?
He got off topic, so I told him I didn't want to continue the conversation because he started bringing other stuff up in the conversation.
Okay. So fair to say you did not tell him he threatened you, correct?
Right. I did.
And you didn't tell him that he held a gun, obscured or blocked by a phone, and pointed it at you and threatened you, right?
No, I did not tell him that.
Never mentioned anything about feeling unsafe, right?
It never came up in the conversation.
You never mentioned to him that you ever felt uneasy, right?
We only talked about 2 minutes. Conversation not that long.
Okay. My question is, you never told him any of that in those 2 minutes, right?
No.
And you never mentioned to Detective Steidel, that you were in fear of receiving imminent bodily injury.
Objection, Judge. Again, we've covered this, asked and answered.
Okay, you haven't, so you're establishing, I understand what you're establishing, last one in that area. Okay.
Can you repeat your question?
Yeah, so you never explained or expressed to the detective that day when you were talking to him that you were in fear of receiving serious bodily injury or were in fear of being killed by Mr. Mathis, correct?
No, I didn't tell him that.
How about that? How about that?
And you also remember during that interview, you identified yourself from a still photo that we talked about during that interview from you being on the bus on August 11th, 2024, right?
Yes.
You would agree that during that interview, there was nothing that prevented you from telling the detectives what you told us today.
I'm
Right.
gonna,
You are objecting, what's your objection?
I feel like Mr. Abadi's getting mighty close to something that I am going to object to. I don't want to have to make a motion here, Judge.
Okay,
I don't know what the motion would be, but
well, I have a inkling, so why don't you have this be the last question about what Mr. Mosley discussed or didn't discuss during his time with Detective Stein?
Mhm.
Want to repeat the question?
yes. So on August 14th of 2024, when you spoke to the detective, you would agree that that was an opportunity for you to tell the detectives what you told all of us a year later here today.
Judge, I'm objecting to this.
Okay, overrule.
I was under the impression that he already knew from the video footage.
Really?
During that interview, you didn't tell him he should look at the video footage, right?
No, I didn't.
You didn't mention anything about the video footage, right?
He had a picture of me showing me that he knew everything. I was thinking he was aware of everything that was going on.
Do you remember your response to him showing you the picture from you on the
Oh, really? But you said just minutes ago that you thought everything was recorded, including sound. So, what in that case were you afraid of? By the way, folks, don't talk to cops. Clarification. If you're under interrogation, you should say a few words, and that is, I want to talk to my lawyer or to a lawyer. That's not legal advice, that's plain general advice. Because when you're Mirandized, everything you say can and will be used against you, which you hear here. Choose heretics, choose. Hey, Nick, did you hear about Bobby Jr.? Don lost his marbles big time. I don't know who Bobby Jr. is or where his marbles are.
MARTA bus, I think it was bus 1830, the initial I guess, bus that you have to take in order to get to Peace Point Station. Remember your response?
Yes.
What was it?
I think I asked him, was that a trick question?
Right. You didn't say, did you look at the other parts of the video, right?
No, I did not.
Okay, but you could have, right?
Why would I? He's the detective.
But you could have told him that, right?
Could have.
You chose not to. Right?
Yes.
But if you thought you already knew everything because you thought your voice was being recorded as well, then this story that you just told should have been on it. So why the secrets?
And during your direct examination, you said something about I think you said it was a $50,000 bounty on your head, I think is what you said. Remember that? Right. And correct me if I'm wrong, didn't you say that Mr. Mathis wasn't a part of whoever took out this $50,000 bounty, correct?
What do you mean?
Did Mr. Mathis take a $50,000 bounty on your head?
He works with me. Of course, he didn't put the $50,000 bounty on my head.
Okay. So my question was, is he involved at all with this alleged bounty that was on your head?
He could be trying to receive the bounty.
But you didn't have any information that he was trying to receive any bounty, right?
I don't know who's trying to accept the money.
Okay.
I don't know who's out to kill me. I just know somebody's out to kill me. It could be anybody. It could be you, Mr. Abate.
Okay. We've never met before. All of
Oh yeah, by the way, this is Mr. Abate. Mr. Abate, Prosecutor Abate, you remember him from the YSL trial. He's been a prosecutor for well over a decade. And this is a very, very easy case to prosecute. Extremely easy. And even though I feel that his cross-examination here is adequate, it's not good. And if you've been a prosecutor for over a decade, you should be much better.
this case, right?
People who put the money on my head got power. I probably don't meet half the people they know.
Okay. So now it's your testimony today that I could be someone who put the $50,000 bounty on your head.
So you're not the one who did it, but you could be one to accept the money.
You know how crazy that sounds?
Judge, I'm gonna object here.
Okay, argumentative.
I'll withdraw the question.
You don't get it withdrawn, just don't say something like that.
So, well, I ask you, is it your testimony that you legitimately think that I could be somebody who would,
But let's move on from your potential connection to it.
Yeah, that's
you
true.
know, you had
Overboard.
received no information on August 11th, 2024, that Mr. Mathis was trying to collect $50,000 for the bounty on your head, right? You had no information about that.
Judge, I'm objecting again. This calls for speculation.
So overruled, but last question about Mathis, any connection to bounty?
I know the Tip Top employees all have knowledge of this.
How long had this bounty been on your head?
To my recollection, since I was released from prison.
Did it flow from something that went on in prison, this bounty?
So it flowed from the guys I robbed before I went to prison.
So it's now it's your testimony that the bounty began in November 2022 when you were released from prison?
Yes.
Remember a few minutes ago, seconds ago, you said the bounty was something that originated from you working with those at TikTok, right?
No, it didn't originate for those guys.
Oh.
They probably be the ones trying to collect it, but it didn't start with them. They
Okay.
don't have money like that. They work with me.
So is it your testimony that from the day you started at TikTok on March 3rd of 2024, it was your belief that people at TikTok were trying to kill you?
No, I believe that people in the city was.
Well,
I had to find means to protect myself way before I started working at Tip Top.
you agree TikTok's in Marietta, Cobb County, it's not in the city, right?
Well, I'm not from Marietta in Cobb County.
Okay. And at any point while working at TikTok, when you thought people who you work with were trying to fulfill this bounty so they could get $50,000, did you report this to anyone who worked at TikTok?
I hardly report anything. because I have bad trust issues with the law. I have bad trust issues with people.
Okay. Well, you would agree that
You're a career
Mr. Terry
criminal.
Bruce doesn't work for the law, right?
Yes.
You would agree that your direct supervisor didn't work with the law, right?
I don't. This was my first time seeing Mr. Bruce ever.
Okay.
He worked at the same facility as me.
But I guess my original question is you never told anyone at Tip Top about this alleged bounty on your head and people from Tip Top trying to fulfill it, correct?
But they knew about it.
My question is you never told anyone, right?
No, I never told them.
Okay. And you never told your felony supervisor, Officer Williams, about this alleged bounty on your head that you learned about once you were released from prison, correct?
Yes, my probation officer knows.
So it's your testimony that your probation officer knew that there was a bounty on your head?
Yes.
And is it your testimony that once Mr. Williams found out about the bounty, he did nothing about it?
That just calls for speculation. I'm gonna object to your.
Okay, rephrasing?
Did you have a conversation with Mr. Williams about this bounty on your head?
I didn't know the amount it was, but I told him that people was out to kill me.
Okay. And is it your testimony that once you told Officer Williams that he did nothing about it or to help you with this belief that you had a bounty on your head?
No, he just told me stay out of trouble.
All right. But it's your testimony here today. You have no idea who put that bounty on your head.
I got some inkling knowledge of who did it.
Just have assumptions about who put a bounty on your head, right?
I knew I was a robber of drug dealers, and since I've been gone, a lot of guys them came up on a lot of money in life, and they living well, and they got 50,000 to throw away.
Nothing further.
Ms. Wood, do you have any redirect?
There.
Jurors, do you have questions for Mr. Mosley?
Oh, jury questions. I forgot about those. Oh, the jury has been very prone to ask questions of all the witnesses in this trial. Hi, DSN.
Thank you.
Yeah, as Monica says, you are not that important,
Yeah.
sir. That robbery, that was 10 years prior, more than 10 years prior. You went in 2012. You got out 2022. The robberies was before that, presumably. If they are even alive today, the people, if you robbed drug dealers, chances are that they're probably dead by now. That usually is what happens to drug dealers. They don't really last. And even if they lasted, they are in and out of prison as well. This is so stupid.
It's not a question. That's artwork.
And he keeps sitting there smug, thinking people actually believe his crap.
All right, Mr. Mosley, you're going to stay right there. Deputy Gordon, you'll stay right here. Lawyers, you can talk with you for a while.
Yeah. And then it takes a while for them to discuss what type of questions there is.
A bounty for you as opposed
Okay.
to.
Yeah. Now, what is happening now is that whatever question the jury has, the prosecution and defense and the judge discuss, okay, is this a question that can be asked? And sometimes questions can't be asked because it's outside of the scope or it's not proper. But let's see what the questions are about.
That's a good. All right, Mr. Mosley, few more questions, and we'll see if the lawyers have any follow-up. Let me just get them organized here. Let's start with the bounty. Can you please tell the jury as concisely as you can what the bounty was for? What is your understanding as to why someone, not who did it, but why was there a bounty for you as opposed to this guy or that guy?
Because the bounty was for me because one of the guys that I robbed back in 2012, I kind of shot them also. And they didn't like.
He kind of shot him. So armed robbery, and you shot. I'm surprised you only got 10 years.
Like that at all.
Did you ever report to law enforcement your concerns about, because you mentioned during your testimony that sometimes guys would roll up on you and put a gun to your head, threaten you. This is after you got out of prison. Did you ever report any of that to law enforcement?
Only to my probation officer.
Okay. But not, you didn't call 911, hey, someone just rolled up on me and put a gun in my head. Why not?
Because at the time I didn't know the guys, and by the time I would have called the police, they would have been gone already. They was gone already.
Okay.
So it was just sending them, telling the police something. I don't know. They wouldn't be able to do anything about it.
You mentioned that some of your coworkers at Tip Top were aware of this bounty and maybe harassed you about that some. Did you ever report that harassment to supervisors at Tip Top?
No, I didn't. Even when I got attacked on the job, I tried to fill out a report and they convinced me that that was the wrong thing to do. So I just got medical treatment and just brushed it under the rug.
When you say they convinced you it was the wrong thing to do, the people who attacked you or the Tip Top managers?
Yeah, the supervisor. It's like when I was when I was telling him about the incident, the supervisor was there with a couple of my coworkers also. So it would have been they finding out at the same time that I'm telling the supervisor, and the word could have spread it that they probably would have said that, oh, he a snitch or anything. And I would be stuck out there in the wind, but no help at all still.
You just mentioned that you were attacked once at Tip Top. Was that by Mr. Mathis?
No, it wasn't.
When you were sitting on the bench next to Mr. Mathis the night he was shot, were you sitting to his right so you could reach out with your left hand and touch him? Or were you sitting to his left so you could reach out with your right hand and touch him?
I was he was to my right.
He was to your right? Yes. Okay. So if I was behind you two looking at you, you could reach out with your right arm, and I don't know if he was that close, but you would be reaching out your right arm to touch him. Okay.
Oh.
You talked a little bit about 10,000 in cash. Were you carrying that money the night Mr. Mathis got shot?
No, I was not. I didn't even have it saved up all the way.
You were hoping to save up $10,000, but whatever you had, whether it was 8 or 5 by that time, you did not have it on you at the bus stop at Art Center that night.
I'm quite certain he had 0, because in whatever pyramid scheme he was trying to sell on other people, he was still paying for it. And the way these multi-marketing things work, you have to bring people in to pay for stuff, and then all of a sudden you stop paying and start receiving. It's a pyramid scheme.
If you did not intend to kill Mr. Mathis, why did you shoot him more than once?
Because the first initial shot, I kind of aimed at the objects in his hand or at his arm, and
What?
he didn't drop the object or stop waving the object at me. So I shot again, and because he was still in motion, and I didn't know if at any moment he could have pulled the trigger if it was a gun.
When you shot him the second time, did he drop what was in his hands?
I didn't pay attention. I just know he fell at the time. After the initial second shot, he fell to the ground, and that's when I grabbed my bag and took off.
Did you ever see Mr. Mathis put back into his bag either of the items you say he was holding?
No, I did not.
Did you tell the jury during your earlier testimony here that you thought that Erica's last name is Menifee?
That's correct.
Ms. Menifee, that she was involved with someone else at Tip Top?
You said, did I tell you?
I don't remember your testimony. The question is, why did you believe that Ms. Menifee was involved with someone else at Tip Top? But I just wanted to first establish that that's what you said.
That's what I use to accuse her of that. And that's because when the guys make the joke on the job, they might say like $50,000 look real good right about now. But they might say the second part of the joke, they might be like, but I'd rather have sex with this girl. Or they say the F word. They say I'd rather have sex with this girl other than that.
Meaning your girlfriend, meaning Ms. Menifee?
Yes.
Okay. When you were having the conversation with Detective Steidel, one of the questions he asked you before you got into Ms. Menifee or what happened at Arts Center was, have you gone to school? Can you speak English? All that kind of stuff. And one of them was, are you under the influence of anything? And your answer was, not today, not right now. The question is, if we rewind to August 11th, the day Mr. Mathis was shot at the Arts Center station, were you under the influence of alcohol or any illegal substance?
Yes, I kind of smoked some marijuana earlier that day after I left church.
You say kinda as in the marijuana was near you, or you smoked the marijuana?
I smoked the marijuana.
Okay, 1 blunt, 100 blunts,
Yes, ma'am.
1 blunt. And 1 minute before your long bus and train ride, or a couple hours before?
2 hours.
Okay,
More than 5 hours before.
more than 5 hours before. Okay. Ms. Wood, do you have other questions for Mr. Mosley based on those questions?
I do not, Judge, thank you.
Mr. Button?
No, Your Honor.
All right. So we're done with Mr. Mosley. Ms. Wood, are you calling any other witnesses?
So,
The defense rests?
yes, Judge.